Morning, people. So Indue's still stuffing people around with rents. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we've got a person who has already been breached, and they're sticking to this 28-day rule, which is getting absolutely ridiculous, right? So I'm just going to go through stuff. I'm going to leave names and everything out, but this is just getting beyond a joke. This is not one person, not two people. This is over and over and over again, okay? So this has just happened again, right? Trying to pay the rent, and this person knows he's going to get breached again if they don't fix it, right? He's furious. If he gets kicked out of the house, let's just say he's furious, okay? And I don't blame him. I'd be absolutely livid. So I've got the sitting right in front of me. I've got the payment failed, right? Quite clearly, the guy sent me I can see the details of everything, right? External transfer category limit has been reached. For assistance, contact the service centre, right? This is ridiculous because they're making people, it's a 28-day limit. So the problem that this person is having is that it's exceeded his 28-day limit with what he can take out of his card to pay the rent, right? And they won't up his housing limit. So the 28-day limit doesn't expire until this Thursday, making rent again late, which is now putting him in breach again, which is absolutely, I mean, this guy, this family is absolutely livid. They really are. I don't blame them, and I would be too. You know, this person's spent time on the phone this morning and basically been treated like it's going in one ear and out the other. You know what I mean? It's even if he did the direct debit, it would have failed because it's within the 28-day limit. They're stuffing people around with categories. You know, I've got another person where they've stuffed them around so badly that she's had to take money out of other payment categories to try and keep up with the rent, and the result is now she's thousands of dollars behind in other bills and on the brink of losing a car, and still can't pay rent. This is bloody ridiculous. It's getting absolutely stupid. Already got one homeless family out there somewhere I've lost contact with because of this, right? And I don't know what her and her 3 kids are doing. I don't know what's happening. I've got people who have lost their cars. It's just getting ridiculous. And these are people that don't have a voice, mainly women, or, you know, this is just getting beyond a joke. But this person here is having so much trouble. So this is, you know, took so many times to get through to the guy's head to fix it when he wanted to control the way I pay my bills and how much is transferred, right? They're treating people like children. That's, you know, well, why did you pay that bill? What's that for? All right, no, you need to pay it this way, or you need to pay it that way. It's getting ridiculous, and it's getting to the point where it's going to make too many people homeless. We're coming into winter. We don't have any shelters. We don't have any support services for ordinary people that do not have addictions, don't have problems, didn't have debt beforehand, were up to date on their rents, are now at the risk of being homeless, and nobody's listening to them because they're branded drug addict, alcoholic, right, incapable of managing their money. I mean, this person's attitude is, why can't they just leave me alone and let me have my bank account back to normal and pay my bills normally? And that's not an unfair statement, is it? When you've just screwed up everybody's finances, it's getting beyond a joke. And it needs to be sorted. And it's no good Keith Pitt saying it's teething problems for the Hinkler rollout, because this has been happening for 3.5 bloody years across all sites. And we don't know how many people are homeless. We don't know how many people are just so broke because what they've lost. You know, this is crazy. So I want people out there to really make it aware that this Indue Cashless debit card is doing nothing more than driving people into abject poverty, driving them into debt, right? Risking their homes, putting them into rental breaches, right? putting them into default with car loans, which could possibly cause bankruptcy. It is not serving the purpose of what it should be doing. And I saw somebody last night going, oh, it's working wonderfully, rah, 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 it's needed. It's like, excuse me, it's working wonderfully to asset strip and absolutely turn people that were struggling into absolute destitute people who cannot get back up off their feet because they're buried in debt. And they just keep falling further and further behind with the delay on rents. You know, when you've got to take all of your other money from your other bills to pay the rent up because they didn't pay it properly in the first place and you're behind, right? You know, this is crazy. Jack, you know what the bastard government did up here? There is no emergency relief for rental payments. The government here, the LNP government cut that emergency funding for the local services in this region as of the 1st of January. That was a low thing to do because that was a service that if somebody got sanctioned from Centrelink or was in this predicament with Indue, they could have gone to that organisation, right, shown them the breach notice, and that organisation would have caught their rent up for them to help them out so they didn't lose their home, right? But now that funding's been cut, right? Scott Morrison and his lovely Liberal government and Keith Pitt, right, rolled this card out, but they cut all the emergency funding services for emergency housing, rentals, right, even transport for people, right? So I'm sorry, but when you move a card into the area, but you make damn sure there's no services and you remove existing emergency services, that stinks. That is setting people up to make sure they've got nowhere to go except for the street. And that is bloody disgusting. We're talking families with kids. We're talking working families with kids. We're talking families with disabled kids. We're talking anybody out there, you know, with, you know, youth services. They have even stricter rental conditions for their emergency housing. 24 hours is their limit. And they only get one warning if their rent's late. So, and we've already come across one case of this, and the poor kids got one warning, and after that, their breach is 24 hours and they're out. You know, so this is, you know, we have the highest youth suicide. We have serious levels of homelessness, right? Barbara says, what's going to happen when hundreds of landlords can't pay their mortgages? They don't give a damn. We've already heard that landlords or, you know, mortgage holders are being stuffed around as well. The story I heard from one was they always had the rent of their mortgage paid on clockwork, was taken out of an account. The rent came in on that day and the bank took the mortgage out that day. Since Indue's come along, those people have had to transfer money from another account into their mortgage account to make sure their funds are there, right? Because they got caught out and a mortgage payment bounced, right? So there's going to be a lot more of this. We had the lady in her late 80s who doesn't use a key card, right? Went to her bank on the normal time and day. The poor tenant was in Centrelink for 6 hours crying, trying to get them to transfer some money to that woman's bank account. And they refused. They wouldn't do it. And her rent was late. But the problem was it left this woman who was in her late 80s stranded because she had no money to get back home. She'd gone to get some money out to buy her husband some supplies. And on the same day, her normal payment for her husband's nursing home payments would have come out as well. And, of course, that bounced as well. And Indue's attitude, the response that came back was, oh, you'll just have to tell the nursing home to change their payment receiving date. Excuse me? This is how bloody ridiculous it is. This is how much Indue staff think they've got power over everybody. Get your owner to change his receiving date. It's like, what? Banks don't work like that with their mortgages. Nursing homes don't work like that with their payments. And leaving a lady in her late 80s stranded is not good enough. And the tenant was absolutely distraught because rent had never been late, ever. You know what I mean? And this is hitting people who have never, ever paid their bills late. They may pay them off like all of us do because we're on such fixed small incomes. You know what I mean? But you can't even set up a direct debit with Ergon, which is our only electricity provider. So you've got Ergon going, no, you can't do the direct debit. Well, they had a deal going last month that if you set up a direct debit, you got $75 off your electricity bill. Just like Woolworths, people on the Cashless debit card missed out on that $75 off their electricity bill, right, because they couldn't set up direct debit for their electricity. Right, the only way you can do it is through CenterPay, which is bloody ridiculous. You know, it's like, oh, I really don't know. I really don't know what to do for these people, because all I can do is come on here and tell the world and pray that people will share it, right, and get the message out there that this card is absolutely destroying people. A stupid thing like a kid goes to play soccer and mum goes to buy him a bottle of water from the canteen on a weekend, and the bloody thing declined. You're not allowed to use it to buy a bottle of water at the canteen for soccer in front of his whole team and all of their parents. How humiliating for that parent and that kid. You know what I mean? The stories are just getting horrendous, and all I can do is observe and pass on the message. But it's heartbreaking, it really is. This is not how you don't treat other Australians like this, and the mentality of get a job, or, you know, it's my tax dollars and I should have a say on how you spend it. It's like, up yours, mate. I'm over this, because this is real people, real lives, real bills, real debts, right? Real credit ratings, real rental histories. And it's all being destroyed. It's all just being destroyed. And it's not fair, it's not right, it's not just. And this is not the way we should be treating people in this country. But I got an own serving of that myself, because living in community housing, right, and being on a DSP, I copped a serve from a plumber on Friday who complained because they were replacing a hot water system here, and I got the lecture about, well, I don't know what you're complaining about, you're getting a free hot water system, you know what I mean? So I got that jammed in my face as though I'm supposed to be paying for it. I'm in a disability unit, I can't even get handrails, I can't get insulation, nothing. I have to pay for it myself. If I want to put a fan in this place, I've got to even put structural timbers in the roof and pay for that myself. Do you know what I mean? This mentality that you're subhuman and you should have put up with less. I'm going through my own battle with trying to get bloody hot water. Boil a kettle for a year for hot water, and they come and install a new unit, and he turned the temperature down deliberately, I think, because my hot water's 34 degrees coming out the tap and I can't use it. All right, might as well have a cold shower, eh? You know, this is how people are being treated, and it's not right. It's wrong. And I'm getting really, I really am. I'm so frustrated for this person, right? I can't actually screenshot the stuff for you because, understandably, there's a few swear words. And I don't blame the person at all. I'll be furious. Because putting somebody hundreds of dollars in rent behind, and then when they try and catch up, blocking them from being able to do it. They get a breach notice. They know they're going to be late again because of the delay. And then to put this 28-day rubbish in that you can only draw, you know, why have other people managed to get a reoccurring payment set up and it's working for them, and then other people have to do this 28-day rubbish or go in and reset it every fortnight? I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing, but it's it is going to cause people a lot of grief, I don't know what to say to people. I really don't. Get this out there. Indue, you've had 3.5 years to fix people's rents and make it so they can pay their bills, right? You've got no intention of changing things. You're quite happy for people to lose their homes, quite happy for people to lose their cars and their assets and not be able to pay their loans, not be able to pay family back for the loans, right? Driving people into debt. This is going too far, and it has to be stopped, right? And Bill Shorten needs to make sure when he stops it here and they start the rollout, right, they can't dilly-dally with this, right? Indue's got too much power. They're being big brother. They're not budging. People have got health issues. People are going back to doctors and ending up on medication. People are having to see psychologists and psychiatrists, and they still won't budge and let these people have their lives back, right? They would rather somebody go off the edge to the point of going off the edge, right? And they will push it that far with some people, and it's not fair, it's not right, and it's not the Australian way. And this government has festered this hatred towards anybody on a social security parenting payment disability support pension, carers payment, students, the lot. We're all branded, right? And I'm sorry, but it has to stop. It has to change. And for God's sakes, people, don't vote for the LNP, One Nation, Fraser Anning, or Corey Bernardi's Conservative Party. Remember, he's got the bill before the Senate, a second reading, to demolish our Human Rights Commission. We don't need the right-wing nut jobs out there, right, making life any harder for the ordinary Aussies out here, working or not, right? Everybody out here is bloody struggling, and they need to get out of their bubble and their self-righteousness and their attitude and wake up. This is no way to treat near on 10 million people across this country with contempt because they're claiming legal payments. And I'm over it. I really am. I'm sick of being judged as a second-class citizen because of my circumstances, right? There's not enough jobs out there. Right? They're not making 200,000 jobs a year full-time for our kids to come into school to. So how can you expect of the other 200,000 that are on DSP's New Start stream that should be on DSP, but they're stuck on New Start as well. Right? This government has got to go, and things have got to change. I don't know whether it's going to change fast enough for some people. You know what I mean? Jodie's come here. I wonder if they ask for an appointment with a social worker, and I don't tell the front desk staff if it's for an exemption. If they look at their breach notice, something might be done because you would have proof right there. They're ignoring the proof, right? Well, they're not ignoring it. In the past, we haven't been able to see it. And I'm very fortunate. People are sending me the proof, or they're putting it where I can see it, and they're allowing me to use it. So I'm collecting that proof. You know what I mean? So that Indue and the minister can't stand up there with their weasel words and say it's anecdotal evidence. No, I'm sorry, got a copy of it here, right here. You know what I mean? And this is what it is. This is a real breach notice. This is the person's name. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? I'll ram this all the way to Senate if I got to, because this is not good enough. Australian citizens deserve equality, and they deserve peace of mind, and they should be allowed to pay their bills just like anybody else, right? You know, they won't give an exemption because of the breach notice, Jodie. Look what you're going through for your well-being exemptions, sweetheart. Come on. They're not paying attention to people's health, let alone they don't give a damn about their financial situation. This was about getting them on the card and getting that money from the government for being on the card. This is all it's about. Anything to get anybody on that card and keep them on that card, because they're getting money out of this some way. All right? Indue can't turn around and say we're not making a profit. That's a load of rubbish. They've got shareholders that want a return on their investment. And it may not be a public floated company, you know, you can't buy shares publicly, but some people out there are getting a lot of money off the backs of our poorest and most vulnerable people, and this is not right, you know, and our poorest workers too. Don't forget, the majority that I'm dealing with at the moment as well are working families, and in some case there's a full-time partner that's working and the other partner's working 2 jobs, right, and they're still got the card because they get a small amount of family payments. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, but this is just getting way beyond ridiculous. Share this around. Send it to people who need to know. Because this is getting, I'm just had enough. I really have. I don't know what to do for these people. All I can do is make their stories out there, and I can back it up who it is. If people from the right places really want to know, I can put people in contact with them if need be. It's up to the person who I'm dealing with and their consent. Alright, but this has to end. Keith Pitt brought this to this region. Rick Wilson took it to Kalgoorlie, right? Ramsey took it to Ceduna, and Price took it to Kununurra. So remember, they all need to get voted out for anybody to have a chance to get off this damn thing. Because I can tell you now, if you've got an LNP sitting member in your card region, right, the Parliament, even if we do change government, the Parliament is not going to hear the truth, right? Keith Pitt is not going, if he keeps his seat, he's not going to walk into Parliament under a Labor government and tell the truth of the dramas this card is causing people. He's going to go in there and, it's working wonderfully, because he doesn't want to hear, right? Well, people, get out there, and if, make sure he hears. It's his responsibility. He brought it in, right? put it at their feet. All right, ring centrelink complaints lines. If you're having big issues with them, you can ring, I'm just getting there. You can ring AFCA, 1-800-931-678, and make formal complaints there as well. That's Financial Ombudsman for Indue. Okay. All right, I'm out of here before I really blow my stack, because I've got my other stuff to... My plumbing issue is still... Well, it's not exactly boiling away, is it, at 34 degrees? We'll see what happens. All right, see you guys.